Welcome back for another video. The longest international break ever is coming to a close at last. Quick recap of how it all went before the break. 57 points all out with a -4 hit. Bizarrely, over the last 3 game weeks I've barely moved rank. I dropped 25 ranks in game week 28 and then I moved up about 100 ranks game week 29, so hovering about 15k still. Raya and Gabriel on the Sunday helped lock in what looked like a huge green arrow up until Bruno played, when he came away with that 17 pointer. Well played if you had him. Do you guys check your rank mid-game week or even mid-game, or only literally at the end of the day or game week? Let me know in the comments. I made the mistake of checking where I was before the Man United game, and it was a lot higher, but I can't complain though. In fact, I can complain. I took a -4 hit which involved buying Vardiol and Wood, and that was a poor outcome with a 1 pointer from Vardiol, and of course Wood blanked against Ipswich. Haaland and Gibbs White, the other 2 players that I brought in, they did get a return at least. Strand Larsen though, absolute heroics to carry the game week for me. 13 points, about 2.5% ownership, was very lucky. That's his second brace in my team this season as well. Now Palmer was sold to fund Haaland, and I got really lucky there as well, in the sense that Palmer didn't even play against Arsenal in the end, with an undisclosed injury ahead of the deadline. I know lots of you had Palmer, and that really just underlines how much luck's involved in this game at times. Like, so much of it is totally out of our hands. Let's have a look at some of the highs and lows sent in by you. FPL Monitor, or Matt, activated his free hit and it barely could have gone any better. 91 points, a 19k gaming rank, and on top of that he's moved up to 1.2k overall. FPL Saka says absolute disaster, 33 points all out, blanks from Pickford, Agbadu, Howson, Mikalenko, Clive, Bowen, Foden, Dango and Captain Wood. So Gabriel and Haaland, the only returns, absolutely brutal. John didn't score as high as Matt did with the free hit, but he didn't use his free hit and he had an absolute masterstroke. He made 2 free transfers, which were Milenkovic and Bruno in for Konsa and Palmer, 82 points all out. Next one's off my app actually, which tracks the worst score every week, and Hamdi finished on 6 points. They were in the top 10k before the game week started as well. At first glance it looked like they completely missed the deadline, but they did make a transfer which was Vardiol in. Used up all their chips, so they probably got caught by surprise by the blank game week. 6 points is unbelievable. Let's do one more. Andy Argyle, he says, Cunha, Salah and Vardamarsen out. Haaland, Elanga and Onana in. -4 taken. 97 points all out. He absolutely smashed it. Well played, Andy. So, is this the last week before wildcarding? It's very likely to be. Let's get into the team for Game Week 30. Starting off in goal, and Raya's got a home fixture against Fulham, and it's a good week to have him, or an Arsenal defender if that's you. They're top of the clean sheet odds this week. Here are your odds for Game Week 30. It's Arsenal 52%, Liverpool and Man City 49.5%, Bournemouth 43% and Palace 39.5%. Leicester rock bottom of course away at the Etihad. Vardiol was brought in last game week with one eye on this Leicester fixture. The defence is Gabriel, Munoz and Vardiol. I'm just hoping that Vardiol's fine after some rumours of an injury over the international break. We touched on the injury a bit in the players to buy video, got a couple of screenshots here as well. It was against France, and at half time of extra time he was lying down getting treatment from the physio. He did go back out though for the second half, but then the manager did sub him back off, which perhaps suggests he expected to play on, or he wouldn't have run all the way back out to the opposite side. Wishful thinking maybe. We do have the FA Cup to assess first anyway. Munoz was in the starting 11 for Palace in the FA Cup, and Mateta straight back in the starting 11. The Prem teams playing are Fulham, Palace, Brighton, Forest, Villa, Bournemouth and Man City. So I'll be keeping an eye on what happens in these games throughout the weekend ahead of the Tuesday deadline. If Vardiol makes Game Week 30, then it's a really solid defence and keeper here. And even if Vardiol's confirmed out, then I might just roll with it and go with Colwell and hope to gain more from that transfer later, perhaps in double Game Week 33. Feels like forever since we've had one of those Gabriel bullet headers off a corner. It definitely hasn't been this year. I think it was around November the last time we had one. He's on 2.7 expected goals for the season. In fact, check this out. So Vardiol's top this season for XG among defenders, and then it's Munoz, then it's Milenkovic, and then it's Gabriel. So potentially lining up with 3 of the top 4 this week, assuming no issues anyway. So onto the midfield next, which is Semenyo, Cliver, and Bumo, Salah and Gibbs White. So welcome back to the starting 11, Mo Salah. The question is, do we captain him or Haaland if you've got both like me? I've got the armband on Salah currently. I've got a fun stat for you. Excluding the blank game week, how many times has Haaland outscored Salah this season? Bearing in mind, Haaland of course scored 10 goals in the first 5 game weeks as well, have a guess. In total it's just 6 game weeks all season. And he's only outscored him by more than 7 points once all season. And those times that Haaland did outscore Salah includes beating him by just 2, 3, 4 and 7 points in there. Of course, Salah's had 2 double game weeks, but his individual scores in each game were higher than what Haaland got in both of those weeks. Trent is of course a massive loss down that right side, so you can make the case either way. They're going to miss Trent's vision, those balls over the top. Everton probably going to miss Mykolenko though down that side, so that could play into Salah's hand. And he suffered a thigh injury while on international duty. It's not reportedly as bad as first feared, but he will continue to be monitored. Bournemouth are home to Ipswich, and I think we're pretty much all hoping for lots of goals here, with many of us doubled up in Bournemouth or even tripled up. Semenyo and Kluivert in my case. Unless Bournemouth get the double Gameweek 33, this will be their last week in my team all season potentially. 3 1-pointers in a row from Semenyo, which is hugely disappointing. You might recall I sold Bruno for Kluivert as well when Bruno was doing nothing at the time, and he's since gone on to register 3 double-digit returns in a row, so bit of a disaster. I actually have no idea if I'm actually up or down though, because those combination of moves did allow me to swap Greaves to Gabriel, and I did do slot to Glasner that week as well. Probably still lost points to be honest. So Gibbs White comes into the starting 11 when he was looking benchable for me. I've come back from the break with a few flags like most teams. Woods dropped to the bench for me. He landed awkwardly on his hip while playing for New Zealand over the break, and the club are waiting for the results of a scan, and he's been ruled out of their FA Cup fixture against Brighton. He could still make the Man United game of course, but it's just a few days later. I feel inclined to just roll with Gibbs White rather than sell Wood, and in fairness, he has been really consistent this season. Not many huge returns, but the last 8 or so game weeks his returns are 5-5, 3, 5, 5, 16, 2 and 5, so 2 blanks in 8 games. So let's get onto the front 2, which is Haaland and Strand Larsen. Strand Larsen, another one who's flagged in my team. He pulled out of international duty with a broken hand. X-rays have revealed fractures in his hand, and his hand just needs a rest. I believe he's been playing through the injury for a couple of games already, so that's promising in the sense that a 2-week rest should have him in line for a start home to West Ham next. Who's everyone's favourite player this season out of interest? I think mine will honestly have to be Strand Larsen. Like, he's not set the league alight, but he's done a job when I've needed him in my team. I think my default answer would have been Wood if I'd not sold him when he got that hat-trick. So lastly Haaland then, who's got the vice captaincy. The captaincy widget on the app's got Haaland top on 5 stars, Salah on 3 currently. So am I playing too passively? Is Salah the best captain? I'm definitely not locked in with captaincy yet. It is ultimately a much better fixture for Man City. Leicester have shown no improvement under Van Nistelrooy. I mean, arguably they've got worse to be honest. Certainly have in terms of points per game. And of course Moyes has given Everton a huge resurgence. In fact, over the last 6 game weeks, Everton are 4th best for expected goals conceded. Though the Liverpool players are going to be devastated with how the League Cup final went right before the break, and they're going to want to put on a good performance in front of home fans. So the bench is Fabianski, Wood, Colwill and Tarkowski. If Vardyle's out for Gameweek 30, then like I say, I'm going to play Colwill and just ride it out. It's not great, he's home to Spurs. If Wood's out and Strand Larsen's fine, then I'll just bench Wood. Now, one option that I have considered, and I think this is going to be a really popular move this week, is Wood to Mateta. This one makes a lot of sense if you needed Wood to be available for you. As I said, Mateta back in the starting 11 for Palace in their FA Cup game against Fulham. The likes of Munoz, Sarr and Eze also started. Selling Wood for Mateta just to bench Gibbs White doesn't sit well with me though currently. I mean, the plan was always to try and put myself in a position to roll this week, and then probably wildcard Gameweek 31, roll in Gameweek 32, and that leaves me with 3 free transfers for double Gameweek 33, where I'll probably bench boost. For all we know, Gameweek 34 could be easy enough to navigate with 4 free transfers even though it's a blank, and then I could save my free here if it looks like we'll get double Gameweek 36 for example. It's all a bit up in the air currently, and flexibility is really important to me, so the plan is to roll the transfer. There's more FPL content to come before the deadline, so make sure you're subscribed. See you soon for the next one.